So let's talk about a really important question. When a crisis hits, what's the difference between the businesses that survive and the ones that don't? It's not always about having the best product. A lot of the time, it comes down to resilience. And today, we're going to break down the international blueprint for exactly that, ISO 22301.
I want you to really think about this for a second. Picture that one event you're always hoping never happens, but you know, deep down, is always a possibility. A massive cyber attack, a natural disaster, another pandemic. What actually happens when the clock starts ticking? Well, it's usually not a pretty picture.
And just like that, everything changes. Those critical components you rely on, suddenly, they're gone. The shipping routes you need, cut off. The very foundation of your business, your ability to actually make or do your thing, it just crumbles. And the worst part? It's totally out of your hands.
So, with no supplies coming in, or maybe your main facility is just offline, everything stops. Dead. Production lines go dark, your people can't do their jobs, the core engine that makes you money, it just seizes up.
And this, right here, is where the real long-term damage happens. Your customers, they're left hanging. That confidence you've built, it can just evaporate. I mean, you can spend years building a great brand, and it can all be undone in a few days if you can't deliver. The cost of this can be way, way higher than the initial problem itself.
Okay, so how do you stop that catastrophic chain reaction? You definitely don't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. Nope, you build a system. And that's exactly where this international standard, ISO 22301, comes in. It's not just some boring document. Think of it as a literal plan for survival.
And its heart, the whole point is to create something called a Business Continuity Management System, or a BCMS. And pay attention to the words here. It isn't just about reacting when disaster strikes. It's about being proactive, protecting, reducing the likelihood, preparing. It's a full 360-degree approach to being resilient.
Here's a simple way to think about it. If building that BCMS is your goal, then ISO 22301 is the official playbook that shows you exactly how to do it. It's the gold standard, recognized all over the world, that gives you the framework to build a system that actually holds up when you need it most.
All right, so what's actually in this playbook? What does it ask you to do? Now, the full standard gets pretty detailed, but the core of it boils down to a really logical three-step process.
The whole thing just makes sense. First, you analyze. Think of this like a full medical checkup for your company. You figure out what its vital organs are, the absolute non-negotiable functions you need to survive. That's called a business impact analysis. Next, you assess. This is where you identify all the potential health threats to those vital organs. What could actually make them fail? And finally, you plan. You create clear, step-by-step emergency procedures so your teams know exactly what to do to respond and get back on their feet. See? Each step flows right into the next.
But here's a really crucial point. This is what separates a real, working resilience strategy from some binder that just collects dust on a shelf. A BCMS is not a one-and-done project. It has to be a living, breathing part of your organization, one that's always getting smarter and stronger.
And the engine that keeps this thing alive is something called the plan, do, check, act cycle. It's like the heartbeat of your whole resilience strategy. You plan the system, you do it, actually put it to work, then you check to see how it's performing with things like drills and audits, and then you act on what you learn to make it even better. It's this constant loop that makes sure your survival plan never gets stale.
And speaking of not getting stale, the world of risk is changing all the time. I mean, the huge new reality for every single business out there is, of course, climate change. And the standard itself is evolving to meet that challenge head-on.
That's right. This isn't some far-off idea. Just this year, 2024, ISO 22301 got a major update, a crucial amendment. Climate risk isn't just a theoretical thing anymore. It's now officially a mandatory part of building a modern business continuity system.
So what's the actual change here? Well, before, the standard was kind of broad. It said you had to look at external issues. But the 2024 update makes it crystal clear. Organizations must now specifically analyze how climate change impacts their business, from day-to-day operations all the way to their stakeholders. So, we've covered the what and the how, but let's wrap this up with the most important question of all. Why? Why go through all this trouble? Because a well-designed BCMS delivers real, tangible benefits that you can feel across the entire company. Let's really connect the dots here.
Remember that business impact analysis we talked about? It's not just paperwork. It's like giving your company an X-ray to find all the hidden weak spots before they turn into a full-blown crisis. Then the risk assessment lets you fix those problems ahead of time. And the plans themselves, they're like a great insurance policy, massively cutting down the financial damage when things go wrong. But the biggest one of all is the one that's hardest to measure, protecting and even boosting your reputation.
You know, this quote just nails it. Being ready for disruptions today, and that includes climate change, it's not just about defense or ticking a box for compliance. It's about building a smarter, tougher, more durable organization. It is a genuine strategic advantage.
And that really leaves us with one last thing to think about. Pretty much every business has a plan to grow, right? A plan to launch the next product, to win more customers, but all of that is built on the simple assumption that the business will still be standing tomorrow. So the real question is, will yours?